Ndaba, let me ask you a question that may seem to be a little bit unfair to you. What does it mean, for example, for having that kind of pedigree, for being a grandson of the Madiba? Is it a burden, or is it an opportunity, or is it both?
Well, I believe it is the gift and the curse.
Really?
It is a curse because the amount of pressure and people who expect you
The expectations.
to lead in the footsteps of Mandela is vast. People want to see another Mandela, you understand?
Yes.
Rising up.
And you can't fill the shoes.
No one can fill the shoes. To fill the shoes will be a mistake. One needs to walk his own journey, but parallel to Madiba's journey, because what is Madiba's journey about? If you truly understand it, it's about empowering his people. This is a man that sacrificed everything for the benefit of his people. So I, having grown up with my grandfather from the age of 11 years old,
Yes.
understand that very carefully. And so I started a foundation called Africa Rising 9 years ago, which is all about youth empowerment. And we work only with the poorest area in the Eastern Cape. Actually, we started in our village, in Ekonu, right? And we work all the way to Mthatha, right? We work with mainly high schools, right? We do education, we do technology, we do agriculture, we do career guidance. For example, the technology program that we did, where last year we had 60 kids, 40 high school, 20 unemployed youth. We took them on a 3-month coding program with Oracle, right? And they got certificates to Oracle. But we are what? What are we doing? We are saying to the young people, regardless of how poor you are, what you have or don't have, you have the opportunity to get a skill. Here is a tool that you can use, and we're going to teach you how to use this tool so that you can make something of yourself, right? So we are giving young people the opportunity to dream. We're giving the opportunity for young people to have sense of self-value, right? We want them to understand that they are the masters of their own destiny. They must not blame the ANC, they must not blame the government, but they must say there is an organization called Africa Rising that cares about us and wants to see us succeed and wants to see us breaking the cycle of poverty. That is what Nelson Mandela and the legacy of Madiba stands for.
Shall I have to push back? They must blame the ANC because the ANC is the ruling party, and the people have always trusted the ANC to deliver.
Sure.
That is why the burden of proof and the burden of good governance in South Africa, it doesn't lie with who's in government. It should lie directly with the ANC because the people of South Africa have given so much of themselves and their democratic hopes to the ANC. So yes, they must blame the ANC now.
But you see what I've done, I've taken the bat in my own hands. I have gone to the government to say, here's a project that we can work on together. And not the problem that we have, not just in South Africa, not just in Africa, but in the world. We have what we call these computer comrades, right? They complain and they complain, but they do nothing about it. You complain and you complain, but when are you going to join the ANC so you can fight, so you can become a councillor, right? We need to start taking action, right? And if we're in a position of privilege, what are we doing about it to work with our government, to work with our political party, right? To try and work on a project that empowers young people.
Ndaba,
that is my point of view.
You become an author.
Yes.
You wrote a book, Going to the Mountain?
Yes.
And in that book, somewhere you talk about how your grandfather encouraged you and told you to create your own legacies.
That's right.
What sort of context was that?
Well, I can't remember the exact context, to be honest with you, but what Madiba was basically saying is that I want you to have education. I'm not going to tell you to go and work.
Quality education, I hope.
Quality education. I want you to get a master's, and if you can, get a PhD. But I'm not going to tell you to become a lawyer or a scientist or a pilot. You have to decide what you want to do. You have to decide how you want to contribute to your country. You have to decide what legacy that you leave behind. But most importantly, you must have a higher education.
You must have a higher education,
Yes,
a higher quality education.
that's right.
Now, you also talk about how you cannot essentially really feel his shoes. You cannot sort of replicate him. You can only walk
Nobody
in
can.
his light.
I'm not trying to go to jail for 27 years.
You can only walk in his light. Yeah, you talk about how, and you talk about, of course, what a very, very uniquely patient individual he is.
Because if I go to jail for 27 years, I might not have the same sentiments
then you come back.
as Nelson Mandela.
You
I'm
come
Ndaba
back.
Mandela.
You come back and make peace with your enemies.
That's Nelson Mandela.
Yes, that's what you talk about. You talk about him.
And again, we salute Madiba because of the sacrifice that he's gone through and the decisions that he made to avoid civil war, right?
Yes.
To avoid our country going to further bloodshed, the destroying of our infrastructure,
Right.
And again, it would have been us moving 10 steps ahead. Nelson Mandela was very lucky, right? Or South Africa was very lucky because we were the last country to gain our independence. And so when Nelson Mandela was still in jail, he saw what was happening, right?
Interesting.
1950 in Ghana, 1980 Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And they were kicking out their predecessors. And he decided, no, that's not the way to go. Otherwise, we shall be in a dark era ourselves.